I said, guess who's back? Man, guess who's back?
What's going on, boxing fans and combat fans around the world? UFC 287 has just concluded. It was a great card, very enjoyable fights. I'm just coming down from the fights, basically, really highlight knockouts from obviously the main event, Adesanya getting his revenge on Pereira. I mean, this rivalry between the two fighters has really given the UFC, a great storyline, and maybe they'll get a trilogy. I'm sure Adesanya is going to see Pereira again, but it's definitely been very exciting, the fights that they've had so far, not just in the UFC, but obviously the kickboxing fights that they had previously, where Adesanya lost, and it was 3-1 going into this fight, and it's just been an amazing story. I've loved to watch the back and forth between them. I've loved to watch the conferences that they've had. I love the fact that Adesanya could have given up a long time ago, and just kind of thought to himself that I just can't beat this guy, but he didn't give up, and he actually said something that was really motivating. In his post-fight conference, he actually asked everyone to be quiet. He wanted to say something very important, and he said that, well, I'm not repeating his exact words because I can't remember now, it's been a few hours, but he says some message to the effect of, if you don't give life your all, you'll never get the chance to feel the way he feels right now. He said that the happiness he feels right now from getting this win back when all the people doubted him and he'd lost 3 times and been knocked out twice, he said that the happiness he feels, most people will never experience that in their life, because they don't put it all on the line. Most people play safe in their life, and they don't put it all on the line the way he's put it all on the line, and that's why he feels like this. He gets a chance to feel that level of accomplishment every day because he puts himself on the line every day, and it's very true. It was a very motivating statement that, if they say try again. If you don't face your demons, and you just got no chance of ever feeling that level of accomplishment if you don't try anything. So that's basically what he was saying, and I really think that was a really strong message for a lot of young people, young fighters coming up in the sports, who want to go into martial arts or anything. Actually, any young person, any person watching, that's a hero story, coming back from 3 straight losses to finally win the 4th fight. That's definitely a great storyline. But the fight itself, let's get into the main event. I'm not going to make it too long. I felt like Adesanya, first of all, I made a prediction about the fight and I got the prediction correct. But I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to gloat about the fact that I got my prediction correct. It was more about the fact that the way it happened was exactly how I saw it going, because I'd seen their previous fights, and it wasn't like Adesanya ever comprehensively lost any of their fights. It kind of even makes it worse for him. I felt so happy for him when he won because I knew what he was going through. I could feel his anxiety, the doubts, everything. And people saying that he can't win, he's lost 3 times already, he's got no chance. It's very hard to come back from that level of doubt, and he did it with some style, definitely. I feel like the reason why I predicted that Adesanya would win this one is because in the first fight, in the kickboxing, I felt like Adesanya won that fight quite clearly. Even though Pereira came back with some heavier shots and he kind of got a few eye-catching shots towards the end, which most people maybe remembered more. Overall, Adesanya won the first fight, but he got robbed and he didn't get the decision. In the second fight, he made the mistake of pushing too hard because he wanted to show the judges that he was doing the better work, because he really felt like he got robbed the first fight. And that led to a mistake of him leaving himself open because he became too aggressive, and then he got knocked out convincingly. So imagine how frustrating it is that you're winning the first fight, you're winning the second fight, and you've somehow ended up losing both fights. Very, very frustrating. Then he left, went to UFC, became a champion, became a household name almost. Everyone holding him up as someone who can't be beaten. Amazing performances against Robert Whittaker, Romero, so many fighters that he had a great performance against. And then this guy that's beaten him twice comes over from kickboxing over to UFC, which was a story, real interesting story building, interesting rivalry. And, you would think this guy's got no chance in UFC. And then he comes along and does the unthinkable and beats him again. And the crazy thing about even that fight is Adesanya must have been thinking, I can't get a break with this guy because I feel like I should have been 2-0 up and I'm 2-0 down. And then in this fight, he was actually winning. I watched the fight a few times and I feel like he was winning most of the rounds in their first fight in the UFC. And he ended up getting stopped, in which I think he actually was he could have probably carried on. I do think that I don't want to go into that, but he did get stopped. And after that, most people would have just called it a day and said, I don't want to fight that guy again. But he came back as a champion, took his rematch, and knocked him out in absolutely, conclusive fashion. And it just goes to show you can come back from anything. Adesanya now, I think, is a real champion, because I feel like when you never get beaten, someone like Floyd Mayweather, people never really appreciate how difficult it is to be a champion. It's better when you overcome an obstacle than if you're just perfect and you're never beaten and you never look like getting beaten. People kind of take your reign for granted. So I actually think it's been a great thing for Adesanya to have to really dig deep to beat this guy. This guy is a monster. He's probably going to move up to 205 and dominate. So, Adesanya, hats off to him. He can say that he beat Pereira in the UFC, and Pereira probably not going to lose another fight, actually. Adesanya may end up being the only person to beat Pereira. That's how good Pereira is. Having said that, he's so good, I do see a lot of flaws with him. I do think that in this last fight, Adesanya did look a lot better. He looked faster. He looked stronger in the clinch as well, despite the fact that Pereira is bigger than him. This is another thing I said in the previous fight, that Adesanya actually looks quite strong. Pereira looks like the heavier puncher because he is the bigger man, but we actually see the way he got knocked out. Maybe that's not even the case. I do think he has got the heavier strikes, but he did look a few paces behind Adesanya in this fight. He was landing some good calf kicks. He's really good at not telegraphing his shots, especially his low kicks. But Adesanya just kind of made a few adjustments in this fight. He didn't let him off the hook. He fought the perfect fight. He fought the fight that I really wanted to see him fight. He didn't take his foot off the gas. He kept the pressure on. He was really sharp, and that last sequence where he kind of played possum against the cage, waiting to counter, that was serious, man. He could have been knocked out trying to do that, but you could clearly see he was looking at Pereira as Pereira was landing those shots. And I think the reason why he chose to do that is he felt that Pereira was trying to get him against the fence so that he could open up. And Adesanya knew that he needed Pereira to open up. So he went for it, man. It could have turned out completely the opposite way. He could have got a worse knockout than he's ever had. But he timed it perfectly, and he was very brave to go for it. And so he moves on now. Great win, great confidence boost. He would have learnt so much from that fight. I don't see Adesanya getting beaten at this weight class at all now by anybody because of what he's had to overcome in this fight. He's become so much better. He handles his range better, his distance better, which he was always good at. His movement's better now. He's now even more aggressive, but he's doing it in a much more skillful, kind of careful way. And it's going to be hard for anyone to beat Adesanya now. That's what I see. Where does Pereira go from here? He's got no shame. One loss to the champion. He's got to come back and rebuild himself. And I think that's exactly what he needs anyway. He is quite new to the UFC. he needs to build himself up as well. He needs to build up his experience. He needs to get some good wins under his belt. I'm excited to see how he stacks up against the likes of Whittaker and a few top fighters at the division. It would be nice to see how he matches up against those guys. I think Whittaker and Adesanya are the only guys who can beat Pereira, personally. Everyone else, I think Pereira walked through them. The celebration from Adesanya was second to none. I knew that he was going to really rub it in Pereira's face. It was such a weight off his shoulders for so long. This revenge has been coming for a long time, so I'm not surprised that he, over celebrated. But yeah, great win. Excited to see where both of them go from here. Just a quick mention on the second co-main event. Masvidal and Gilbert Burns. I predicted that Gilbert Burns would win. He's much more of a professional. He's at the time where he's hungry. He's got that loss to Kamaru that he's chasing. He's now chasing the belt. He wants a fight with Edwards. He's dedicated. He just has all the intangibles that I think Masvidal kind of doesn't have. He's older. He's had 50 plus fights. He's kind of on the other side of 30, 35, or however old he is. He's been in the game a long time. He's not the most dedicated fighter. Even leading up to this fight, he was getting in trouble with fights outside of the cage and stuff like that. I just think that talent is just not enough at this level. At this level, you've got people training. People like Gilbert Burns are training every day, twice a day. And I just don't think Masvidal was doing that. And that kind of showed in his takedown defense. He couldn't really defend against Gilbert. Gilbert was much stronger than he thought he would be. Took him down at will, held him there. Masvidal did well off his back, but it wasn't really... he never really looked in danger of beating Gilbert. On the feet, he looked dangerous, landed some really nice kicks, some really nice punches, but overall, Gilbert really looked like he hurt Masvidal more than Masvidal ever hurt Gilbert. Fair decision, clear decision, as what I thought would happen. Should Masvidal retire? Well, no one can say apart from Masvidal. Personally, I'd still love to see him fight. He is such a character. One of my favourite characters in the UFC. He's funny. He gives... he knows how to get the crowd up, on their feet. And he's just a great character to be in the UFC. So I don't care how many losses he's had. I still would like to see Masvidal in the UFC. And he's a great fighter to completely demolish someone like Nate Diaz and not really be training very hard. You've got to have talent. So, I'd like to see him carry on, but where's the motivation going to come from, I just don't know. I don't know if someone like Masvidal can kind of take being a runner-up. I think he wants to be the champion. I think he knows it's not going to happen now. The motivation to become better is only going to go down, So I don't see him really being able to carry on, which is unfortunate. Like I said, he's a great character for the sport. But I think he will probably retire. We'll have to see what happens there. Let me know what you thought of the fight. Let me know what you thought of the card. Kevin Holland also had a sensational finish in the third round, I think it was, knockout. He looked good in the third round, but to be honest, throughout the fight, I just don't think he's living up to his potential. Remember when he first started the UFC, he had this big potential on his shoulders and he hasn't quite delivered. Definitely underperformed, but he performed, on this occasion. So he's still a prospect. I just think time's kind of running out for him to really make his name. But yeah, let me know what you think. I'm on to the next one. Thank you for watching my video. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel.